What's up, y'all? Black Voters Matter 365. This is Cliff Albright, co-founder, executive director of Black Voters Matter, and this is the Black Voters Matter podcast, unnamed and unbound, where we talk about politics and policy, but in a way that's easily digestible, kind of like grits and eggs are easily digestible. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about what's going on. What's a lot of stuff going on, in DC, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But we wanted to have a conversation with brothers today. We had a couple of shows that was the sisters doing their thing. Today is going to be the brothers. I'm so excited to be here with two brothers that I'm going to have a great conversation with. First we got Deante Kyle, podcast host for
Grits and Eggs podcast. Yep.
That's right. And we got Kalel Edwards,
Senior Organizing Manager for Pennsylvania.
That's right.
Black Voters Matter.
That's what's up. So we're going to get into it. But before we do that, we're going to watch a quick little video from one of our friends, comrades, who's actually up in DC.
For 4 nights straight, the president has been trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the black communities and in the brown communities, having ICE kidnap our neighbors, having the black community be harassed and profiled. We say, hell no, we won't go. Black Washingtonians have long recognized that community violence cannot be solved through state violence and have asked for meaningful investments and solutions that are proven to work. I stand in front of you today with a signal to the residents of DC and the country that we will not be idle as oppressive structures try to harm our communities and take power. The fight for black liberation and the liberation of all people will not stop no matter our oppression, intimidation, manipulation tactics. We have the right to demand respect, to protect ourselves and protect each other. We're fighting against mass incarceration, policing, ICE, violence towards immigrants and Muslims, violence in Palestine, worker exploitation, and more. We're fighting for freedom and safety for all people, including black, brown, people who are women, feminine, queer, trans, gender non-conforming, immigrants, disability, poor, and more. We're not free until all of us are free. We will not stand here and allow authoritarianism in Washington, D.C.
I'm feeling it. Even just watching Nene, and Nene joined us actually on a webinar that we did last week called Defending DC, where she was talking about what's going on in DC. And, we certainly believe, just like she said, none of us are free until all of us are free, right? And so, that's an uplifting, kind of empowering clip. But we all, we've been watching stuff on social media now, and we seeing, folks getting harassed on the streets, folks getting scooped up, kidnapped by so-called law enforcement wearing masks, and we don't even know if they law enforcement, if they just the Proud Boys, just in masks. We seeing the policy stuff, the big ugly bill, cuts to SNAP, food insecurity, all this stuff that we seeing every day. So I just wanted to talk to y'all and just hear from y'all, what y'all be feeling, just as a black man, just watching this stuff. Forget as organizing around it, but just like, how's it hitting, how's it landed on you as we've been living through the stuff that we've been living through?
I think for me, I think about my sons. I got 2 sons. So it's like the further we get ahead in some facets, then it's like the regression comes, and the regression comes aggressively, right? So where you want to talk to your kids about like what they're going to do when they grow up in college, and what their careers want to be, and like just the importance of education, you also got to talk to them about like state violence. And, and it's important more now than ever that we understand our history and what our struggles was in civil rights, what our struggles have been anytime we've revolted, because that's always been state violence. And it, I think the easiest thing to do is be hopeless. But I think when we see orators speaking like that and speaking and saying, none of us are free until we're all free, and sharing the same sentiments that I share, I think we fully equipped with the mindset. But it is like disheartening, because it's like every like 2 step, like 1 step ahead, 2 steps back. It seemed like to be the plight for black people in this country. And now more than ever, all people that aren't straight white men.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, man. Having 3 boys and coming from Philadelphia and watching what's happening in DC. DC always kind of been like our safe haven. Let's go to DC. Let's get something to eat. You know, they get great culture. But now it's like it's a whole different ball game over there. And seeing some of the videos and while doing some of the research, it makes me upset, to be honest. Like, it makes me want to gather all the black men in Philadelphia that I can and go across that bridge and get in front of the fight.
Right.
But I also understand that I'm also taking notes and understanding that this could happen in Philadelphia any day.
That's right.
So, like I said, while watching them videos, I'm upset. As a black man, I'm upset because I got 3 boys. I'm watching kids getting snatched off the streets, you know, by their hands and their feet, getting thrown into cars, you know,
For sure.
for nothing. I'm watching people get harassed. I seen a black lawyer get harassed just from walking down the street. This is like a war on black people.
For sure.
So I'm upset, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is like understanding like that coded language that they use. So anytime we talking about illegal aliens or immigration, you know that they point the finger at brown people. When they talk about crime, they point the finger at us. And it's like it doesn't make sense in the sense of like we here to crack down on crime, right? But then the statistics say they at a 30-year low in crime.
Right.
Statistics say in Baltimore 50-year low in crime.
Right.
Same thing in places like Chicago. Same thing in places like Birmingham. And it's like so my first mentality always go to like, what's the benefit?
Right.
How does it benefit states' violence? Or like to enact state violence, how does it benefit them? And if crime rates are down, I mean the prison enrollment is down too. So it's like during like post abolition of slavery, they create these vagrancy laws, like where your skin is the criminal act, right? Just being black, being outside, that's a criminal act. And we can throw you in front of you in a prison, which is slavery.
Yeah.
And so in my first mind go to this because when I was talking to the people that's there, I talked to this guy, he go by Neighborhood Alki on the internet, but his thing was they pulling people off of mopeds, you know, those that just getting people working the gig economy.
Right.
So then it's not even about, you know, if you're an immigrant, we'll figure that out later. All we see is black right now.
Right.
So we're gonna pull you off that moped, figure out where you at. Oh, you an immigrant? That's a +2. Let's now we can let ICE handle this, but we also gonna funnel you into that prison system. And I think like even with the youth, agitating the youth and knowing like what the stereotypes about our youth is, this whole YN shit. My stuff, I don't know. All right, man. You know what I'm saying? You know,
right.
But the whole YN thing is like, it's another way of framing them as super predators.
Right.
Like they always find a way to reword, create new dog whistles that criminalizes our youth just for being young and black. And as the crime rates plummet, they got to reinvent new ways to criminalize them. So, I mean, it doesn't help when our media is heavily influencing them to wear masks and stuff like that. But it's also like these young people, they express themselves how they express themselves. And self-expression shouldn't necessarily be criminalized. But it also begs the question of like, when do we start stepping in as older black men and like dictating what's cool?
Right.
That's not cool to be walking around with your face covered up, bro.
Right.
But during a protest, it's going to be extremely effective and necessary. So it's like channeling, like what you talk about, speaking to your anger, your agitation. How do we channel that into like power, right? We was discussing out there about like them trying to agitate us, right? They trying to give themselves a reason to brutalize us and to lock us up.
Right.
And when the only reason they need to stop you is because you black, then you're gonna have to handle yourself accordingly. And I've seen a lot of men stepping up and like in the face of police and also like clowning them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I had made a statement the other day. I got a little pushback on it, but it's like, regardless of why you enrolled in the National Guard, regardless of like what your goal was, and when you enrolled as a police officer, you got an oath, right? And when that oath becomes unconstitutional, you also have a right to like resist.
Right.
And by not resisting and just following orders, then you fall in the same line as not seeing most people people faces. Because that's what they said. I'm just following orders.
Right.
That's not an excuse.
What was the pushback you got to that? Like, that sounds like common
Well,
sense to me.
It sounds like common sense to me. Hey, you know what, man? I didn't realize a lot of times when I say common sense, you know, I got called a panderer for a month because I said, you know, if we see our women outside of sexual objects and just view them on a human level, we don't understand how powerful we'd be together. Oh, this nigga pandering.
That's pandering.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think
that's not just like basic respect. That's pandering.
But it's just guilt, bro. It's
Right.
Also too. It's like if I'm in the military, even if I'm upstanding, if I'm a cop, and I feel like I'm good natured, then it's like you stepping on my toes.
Right.
But it's like one bad apple spoiled a bunch, right? But like it's all bad apples. You one good apple.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be rotten in a minute anyway.
Right.
That's how we gotta view it. And then I think for Black people, our viewpoint has to always have to have historical context.
Right.
I don't think there needs to be any hope in spaces where we historically have the context that there is no hope here, right?
That's right.
So like when you speak to like the agitation and want to get out there on the front lines, I think people that live in majority Black cities, places like Atlanta, places like Philly, Baltimore, Chicago, where we see this happening, if they'll do it in the nation's capital, and we all know that's federal,
right,
then it's going to be up to these mayors, it's going to be up to these governors, to these senators to resist him deploying the National Guard, and a lot of them have.
right.
But when it hit the street, it's going to be up to us to like, and to face it the right way.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, we don't know what that right way is.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times people want to get violent with them. You come with me with violence, I'm gonna come to you with violence, but that oftentimes leaves us with our lives lost, our freedom lost,
Right.
and things like that. So like, I'm interested to see what y'all mindset is on like what resistance looks like in a time like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. We've been having some of these discussions like internally as an organization with some of our partners. You know, it's funny that you mentioned the thing about like people in the National Guard resisting, because like one of the things that one of the toolkits we've actually been pushing out comes from, we didn't create it, it's from a partner organization, but it's basically telling folks who are in the Guard, you know, this is what your rights are, right? Because a lot of time we talk about know your rights, right? And you know how the YNs on the street got to know what their rights are. And actually, one of the things that I've been finding some joy in, it sounds crazy, but like in some of these videos, seeing the young brothers like, "Am I detained?"
Yeah,
using the language like, am I under arrest? No, I do not. I do not give consent for a search. And using some of the language from these Know Your Rights things that, you know, shout out to Advancement Project and some of the other folks that have been doing Free DC that have been doing these trainings for folks. But like, we have this whole kit telling folks of the National Guard, you got to know your rights too, that you could be a conscientious objector, that your oath is to the Constitution and not to some orders that are illegal. So you're right. All of that is a part of the resistance process.
Correct.
But the other thing that we have to include in that, and we were talking about this earlier, is, you know, finding ways to bring in that Black love, that Black joy, you know, you got folks dancing in the streets in DC.
Absolutely.
You got folks playing go-go in DC, you know, you got folks cracking jokes, you know, on somebody. I saw this one dude, he was like, this one brother was like, saw a cop that was going up to a car and he knew whose car it was. He was like, yo, man, that's an old, you know, that's an old lady's car. Like, what you even doing right now? Right? Well, what you looking for? Like, you looking for some medicine in it? Like, what are you and just cracking jokes on them? And that's a part. Right. And that's looking for a bingo card. Like, what you looking for? And so that's a part of the resistance when we can make them be small, you know, and this goes for whether it's the cop that's harassing us or whether it's this Trump. You know, making it be small, the same way South Park is making it look small,
right?
You know, figuratively and literally. You know, that's all a part of the resistance that we got. All of that got to be in the toolbox.
Yeah, I think for sure, because I think if the war on us is psychological, right? Anytime that we see progress, you can notice it on social media. I done picked up on the pattern because that's like my space, right? So anytime you start to see Black unity online, across gender, across the diaspora, there's always going to be somebody that come in to try to cause some division, right? And it's returning us to this base level of like fight or flight, what we was talking about earlier, where it's like, I always have to defend myself. The Black American is always in a constant state of feeling like we got to defend ourselves from people that look like us, from people that don't look like us, from the state, from ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's also this thing of like, Black joy being resistance, right? And in the midst of it all, like you're saying, they playing go-go music, they dancing, they cracking jokes, because our resistance is ultimately, like joy being our resistance is ultimately the thing they always trying to stomp out. Like they don't want to see us happy. And like what I mentioned to y'all outside is like, as much power as they have, right? As much as like I can deploy the National Guard as a scare tactic, I'm getting money, but you miserable.
Right.
Because if I was happy, if I had money, I'd be, hey, bro, do your thing, bro. Hey, y'all need something? Y'all straight? Y'all don't need nothing, do you? Like, let me come over, I'm going to drop a couple M's off over here. I'm up. But it's like the misery, right? The blueprint of this country being slavery is, that's 100% profit system, right? This is why my mind always go back to the prison industrial complex. They trying to get it, if the blueprint is slavery, chattel slavery at that, no pay for labor, no pay for the resource, and I can set the price, then of course, like that's a model they want to return to. I'm gonna send all the jobs overseas, right? And the jobs that I can afford to keep here, I'm gonna funnel through the prison industrial complex. I could pay you 20 cents a day, so it's not free. But also, I'm making 80 a day. I'm making 150. I'm making $200 a day off of you, right? So I think when we start to understand that, like the most that they see us, the value that they see in Black people is as a commodity, and not like they don't pay attention to our cultural value until it can bring them some money. You know what I'm saying? The human value is not, like they don't even see that part, because if they start to see us as human, then it messes up their whole system. So a system of resistance towards, National Guard, them understanding their rights, understanding that they can resist, is probably going to be the most important thing right now, because if you took an oath to protect, especially at the military level, and you start turning your gun on your citizens, then you just being paid in power, because they ain't making no bread for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the incentive of, you can make six figures if you work for ICE, right? But it's like, that's six figures
and get your student loan taken care of.
All this, right? Like, but the thing is like to sell your soul, right? Because you're gonna be in them history books,
for sure.
And Germany, they prosecuted all them people, everyone they could find.
That's right.
How you German and you in Argentina? How that makes sense? What you running from?
Right.
You dig? So it's like you're gonna see a lot more of that. Like these people gonna run away from these acts. And that $150,000 ain't gonna mean nothing in a minute.
Because the Supreme Court said that the president, Trump, is immune from this stuff. But you ain't immune, right?
Right.
You doing some illegal orders. It's gonna, at some point, that's gonna come back on. Like we was talking about whether it's the lawsuits that are coming, or in some cases, just like the Nazis, criminal prosecution. Some of y'all fake ICE agents or whoever you are, Proud Boys. Like at some point, it's gonna catch up to them.
When they start rolling this out as a war crime or crime against humanity, $150,000 ain't gonna do nothing for that. That lawyer going a lot more.
Right. That's right.
You can't afford no lawyer at that point. And it's like, I think it's a selling out for real. Like, imagine that. Imagine being a Hispanic ICE agent. And to us, the equivalent is a black cop. Like, what are you doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? And I come from a family of men that was in the military, but it was never patriotic. It was always like a means to an end. How am I going to level up? If this is the step I got to take to level up, then that's what I'm going to do. But when we see our Black soldiers being deployed in Vietnam, what's the tactic that they used against them? Psychological warfare.
That's right.
Black man, what are you doing here? They got that's crazy. You in the jungle and they, black man, what are you doing here? It's not your fight. They'll kill you. You dig what I'm saying? So I think a part of our shaming is also playing that psychological warfare. I know what you doing here. You looking for antibiotics? You want a bingo card? You lottery ticket?
That's right.
Because if you don't make a person extremely aware of what it is that they're doing, and we just like let them act freely, they're gonna get more aggressive.
It remind me of the war on drugs, right? So the war on drugs and the war on crime targeted Black people.
Correct.
And then I think about what's happening in DC. I'm from Philadelphia. You born and raised in Atlanta. You from Bronx. So you just imagine we used to chilling out on our stoops, coming out, that being our safe haven. Some of the places that people look at as some of the most dangerous places in America has been our safe havens, right? And to see National Guard coming down your street to bother you while you on your porch.
Right.
Me being a Philadelphian, that's ultimately fight.
Right.
Because Philadelphia, they're not going to flight. And when you think about civil disobedience, like you said, a lot of us in Philadelphia and PA and in America don't know the meaning behind civil disobedience, right? So it turns into them poking the bear, them already knowing how we're going to react, so they setting things in place. And like you said, with the private jails, them wanting to fill the jails up and stuff like that. I'm lucky enough to be from Philadelphia. We got a black mayor, we got a governor that's all on the same tail that if it does come to Pennsylvania, we're going to react. But just seeing things, that's not enough faith for our people. Because we heard the rumors about stuff like this happening, but to actually see it happen makes it real. And I think we got to stay ahead of the curve. I'm proud and I'm happy and excited and intrigued to see, some of the ways that they're organizing in DC under this climate, because I'm taking notes, and I'm also researching and learning different things about federal land, and also seeing Miss Nene Quote talk about how she has to stay on DC streets to organize. Right. She don't want to go in the park because she know they'll come get her and they want to lock her up, and that's the basis for her to get arrested. Right. And it's like, that's deep. Yeah. Like, that's really deep. And I think we really got to go back to some of the things that worked for us in the 60s to 50s, but also create new paths and new strategic actions to kind of throw them off. Right. Because I feel like they feel like they got our number. They feel like they can come into these black cities. They feel like they can agitate us. They're going to raise the crime rate. And it's something we already did for ourselves. If you look at the crime rate in certain black cities, it dropped. Sure, a lot of that without state support, federal support. It took violence interrupters, it took community organizations to come together, put their resources together to curb some of those things. And when you see some of those things like that working, we need to be talking about how to invest in those things. But this is not about the safe haven, or this is not about a well-being of our people. This is directly attack on black people.
For sure.
I want to talk more about what you just touched on. And we started talking about like some of the solutions and event, like what works, like what can we be doing to organize. But before we do that, I'm gonna take a little petty tangent, because you were talking about a minute ago. You said something about like the traitors and how we got to hold people accountable. And and I don't know where you stand on this, right? But because we had all this is coming about, not all of it. Some of it's been here forever. A lot of this is coming about because of the results of the last election.
Correct.
And we had some brothers who during this whole campaign was like rolling with MAGA, right? Talk about what Trump gonna do for us economically and all this stuff. Where they at now? Like what Snoop got to say?
Oh man, Snoop said he's scared to go to the movie, so we can't even.
That's right.
The thing is like free thinkers all tend like contrarianism, right? Is a thing of like they'll frame it as free thinking,
right.
But it's like
all y'all said, right?
All y'all think the same though. So then, what's so free about that?
Right.
And I think that there's a thing of like nobody's fooled by like your motivation being capitalism, right? So hip hop culture had championed Donald Trump for a long time as like something to aspire to, because niggas that ain't never had $100,000 all of a sudden want $1 billion. So it's an odd delusion to think that you're gonna be able to play the game the same way and you don't question where they got the game from.
Right.
You want to be Donald Trump, but is your daddy a slumlord?
Right.
So it's like it don't come without getting your hands a little dirty.
Right.
And I think that they think is, of course, like he's pardoning rappers, right? He's doing these things, and it's like, pardon them for what?
Right.
Pardon him for sexual assault. Same thing he's accused of. All these odd behaviors that seem to be like symbolic victories. He's pardoning rappers. Okay, so what you got coming down the hole then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why are you trying to align yourself with the dude that be pardoning the sexual assaulters?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What you got coming? But also too, what kind of tax cut you trying to get? Because the thing is like, we understand what his business is. Like, you look at a dude that will bury his ex-wife on his golf course so he can get a tax write-off, and because they call it a cemetery now, and that's basically tax-free land now. And when you pay attention to your point, when we start talking about like the decline of literacy rates and things like that, I think at a time like this, the most important education we can get is on our rights, right? A person, and when they talk about a decline in literacy rate, they ain't just talking about black people, they talking about nationalism.
That's right.
So if a person ain't gonna pick up a book to read it, what make you think they know their rights? What make you think they know the amendments and the commandments of this land?
That's right.
Right? So like when you start talking about people that like sell out, whatever, they don't even feel connected to us anymore. It ain't selling out to them. It's assimilating to where they already are.
So it's a business decision.
It's a business decision, but it's also if you are rubbing shoulders with these people all the time, you're gonna have to draw a line. So they know if you on their side or not. And that's them drawing a line with us. Like, hey, I done made my money. I'm out of that. I'm out of the struggle. Y'all got it from here. I'm gonna go over here with these folks so I can get these tax cuts, or I can get pardoned, or I can get some little hush hush over here. Because you know these folks is all implicated too. And I'm implicated, and I'm trying to protect my own ass. You know what I'm saying? So it's clownery, but also too, it's like we can only get so far looking towards celebrities to be any type of idol or icons in our neighborhood, because they never really done anything. Snoop Dogg is the type of person that'll say, oh, I don't want to take my grandkids to the movies because they got lesbian scenes and things like that. But you made a whole career off of calling women bitches and whores and cosplaying a pimp.
Like, bro, have you read some of your own lyrics lately?
I mean, he's in. Well, the thing is how many videos is he in where women are kissing each other? No problem then.
Right.
No problem when it comes to sexual validation. But now all of a sudden we want to protect our kids. That's bullshit. He just want to align himself with that Christian nationalist mindset because that's their template for white power. It's everything else. If it has to be ordained by God for me to brutalize you. You know what I'm saying? The same thing we see in Palestine. I'm not here to brutalize Palestinians. God told me this is my land, so they got to get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but if you can use God as the through line, then it'll justify your evil deeds. You know what I'm saying? And that's more so to that. It ain't got nothing to do with these women being lesbians. I had to align myself with this Christian nationalist mentality because that's what side I'm on now. You seen me Crip walking at the inauguration. I'm a Crip, but I'm wearing the red hat.
Right. I'm at the Olympics.
I'm carrying the torch.
I'm carrying the torch.
To your answer, Cliff, you know, some of the work that I did in PA and having conversations, male engagement conversations with black men to talk about why they wanted to vote for Trump.
Right.
I noticed a lot of them walk with their head down now because they didn't expect this. I'm gonna be honest. And the folks I ran into was a lot of folks impacted by the criminal justice system.
That's right.
Yeah. And they felt left out, and they felt like things are working for black people, it's working for you guys, but it ain't working for us. So it's our time to shake something up.
Right.
We're going to shake something up because we feel like we got nothing to lose. But I don't think they expected this at all.
Right.
I don't think they expected this. And I want to say I didn't expect it, but why wouldn't I expect this? I mean, he's been blatantly talking about doing these things. He's been creating policies to block us out. I mean, we really need to be intentional on what comes out of his mouth and prepare for everything. So when it comes to black males that I know that voted for Trump, it was a big thing of them feeling left out and feeling like that was the answer. Right. Which it wasn't truly, because if you feel left out, it's all about us now.
Right.
Now it's all about us.
I mean,
in a negative way, though.
So how do we pull them? Like, how do we get them from walking with their heads down to walking with their heads up and actually like getting in this resistance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I think hardest thing for men to do is admit when they're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. We're gonna get some shit wrong. I think one thing that I always point to when it comes to our community is to pay attention to our women, right? Our women are by race and gender, the most educated in this country, which means they're making educated decisions, right? Also, too, it's like the war on drugs took us off the street.
That's right.
So a lot of our don't have the savvy or the know-how. I wasn't raised in a political environment led by men, right? So I think a lot of the resistance has come via social media and kind of getting us to turn our back on our women and turn our back on anybody who is standing in like this place of like progress, right? You speak to them feeling left out. They have been left out.
That's right.
You dig? And but they was left out by the same system that they now are going towards. But I think, like you said, like I said earlier, it's this contrarianism. Like, okay, like how do I fight back in a space where I don't feel welcome? Right? I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with the group that it seems to be shaking shit up the most. But without the proper education on what you leaning towards, you don't understand that like you a part of a pawn. You a pawn in that system. And now, like, yeah, I got your vote. Cool. niggas finna come round you up. So appreciate you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a thing of like, it's miseducation, but it's also like, it's emotional. You know what I'm saying? I think it's misdirected anger, but I think it's also like the algorithm. All of the things that are geared towards men all lead to the alt-right. It all leads to like that MAGA, that mindset of like, oh, we like him because he speaks freely. We like him because he says what it is when it is, and he does what he wants. And it's like, this seems appealing, but this ain't diplomatic, bro. That ain't civil.
Right.
That also isn't the type of person that you want to be aligned with in leadership, right? When he says, oh, some people say they might even want a dictator. Oh, you telling me if there's an act of war that they can't have an election?
Right.
This is all game to him. Like, I'm figuring, and he telling you, like you said, we got to pay attention to what he's saying.
Right.
Because the thing is we used to politicians like blowing smoke up our ass, right? But that's only time they lie to us is for progress.
Right. That's right.
He ain't lying about being regressive.
That's right.
And day one, he was on that.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't never seen a president sign more executive orders than that. He was on that. You feel me? I think to our brothers is like, if you feel left out, like, come lean in. You know what I'm saying? See what spaces you've been left out of and why. You know what I mean? Because they not doing nothing to help prison reform. They actually do everything to create recidivism. They want you to go back.
That's right.
You isolating yourself is putting you in a position to go back because, you know, if the people that you align yourself with already think you criminal, but will massage your ego to think you're a part of it to be used, it's like you like a sheep aligning yourself with wolves. It's a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's not like uncommon or like, it's not like I can't make sense of it, bro. When you got these algorithms like that reinforce whatever your speaking points is, or like you creates an echo chamber around your thought process, you feel like you amongst friends.
Right.
But when it becomes down to policy and it really affects you, you ain't got no friends left. Right. And then people gonna feel some type of way. We saw this with the ICE raids when they first enacted, that a lot of black women was like, yo, we told y'all.
Right.
So I'm gonna sit this one out. A lot of black people were saying that. We voted against this. We was trying to tell y'all this was coming. He wasn't playing when he said we did our part, right? And I think that for black people, like, the resistance is continuous always.
Yeah.
And I think that there's like fatigue behind that, right?
Yeah.
And there's also fatigue behind like trying to educate the ignorant or the willfully ignorant, right? And so it's gonna take a lot more leaning in. Like, if you was wrong, or you had an idea and things didn't shake out and you feel like you got duped, you got to lean into the people that was telling you it was a dupe. And you got to be willing to say, shit, I was wrong.
Right.
But I want to be right. So educate me and put me on. And like 9 out of 10, they're going to educate you. They're going to get you right. But I understand it because, come on, you get your freedom snatched away from you. You can't participate in politics in a way of like actually voting. Then you're going to participate in politics by way of influence.
Yeah. I think that, you know, this commonality between what you were talking about earlier about how, you know, the white supremacists or whatever, that fundamentally they are not happy, right? They're mad, they're upset, you know, and the commonality between that and like what you were talking about, you know, brothers were upset about criminal justice system, which is legit, right? Sure. But what happens is when we upset at that thing and we're not fed into in a positive way to help us really understand what's the real source of that, right? Then it opens up the door for other people. And this is what Trump does well. He comes in and he'll reach into your grievance, right? He'll reach into your grievance about the criminal justice system and make you think he's the solution. He'll reach into your grievance about, you know, trans people and make you think he's the solution. He'll reach into your grievance about immigrants and make you. So I think when we talk about the toolbox and some of the interventions we got to do, we got to understand that we got people that are legitimately upset, hurting for a variety of issues, right? Some that are here because of Trump, some that were here before Trump, a lot that was here before him, but that we got to recognize that and lean into those conversations. Like, we can't, like the brothers with their head down, we can't pile on. We can't be like, I told you so, right? You know, we got to create that dialogue in a way that recognizes that there's a hurtful space there. And we got to, you know, find out how can we together come come up out of this. So, part of what we do at Black Voters Matter is, we try to use a range of tools, which includes mutual aid, cooperative economics and economic development, economic empowerment, obviously like doing advocacy work, like phone calls to Congress or to your city, to your governor or whatever, or letter writing campaigns. Like there's a bunch of strategies that we use. What right now is resonating most with y'all? Like what is it, either something that you're seeing happening that you think, yeah, we need to lean into that and expand that, or something that you're not seeing happening that you think is critical towards this moment? Let's start.
I would say we got to organize from the inside out, right? So in Philadelphia, throughout PA, we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March. And I have been hosting a lot of Black male engagement events at barbershops, meeting folks where they at. And it started off with corner conversations, because sometimes you can't even have it in the barbershop. You got to go in the corner and just start that conversation.
Right.
Then snatching those guys off the corner and invite them to the barbershop. And these are guys that usually don't vote, but the conversation is never about voting, because the conversation is about what we have in common, which is issues that's impacting us. No matter who you voted for, we still got the same issues that's impacting us. So that's what's going to bring us together. So I noticed, but by putting all those guys in a room, a lot of talk come. If you don't create an action plan, it's going to be a conversation, but that conversation is needed to break ice, to create that space for it, to create that safe haven for men to either feel like their ideas are valid. So we in that stage where we're having those conversations, but also I've been talking to Cliff and Black Voters Matter organization about adding in know your rights, adding in what civil disobedience looks like, and not just looking for those guys that normally don't vote or have issues impacting them, but bringing in Black farmers into the conversation, bringing in Black doctors and Black teachers into the conversation, Black people that's well off, because we're going to have to teach one, reach one. It's going to have to funnel down. Buying Black, what that looks like, and just like I said, creating that space for Black men. And sometimes action not going to come out of that immediately, because Black men been harming Black men for a long time. We were designed to do that, because of that. So
absolutely,
just creating that space, right, and then getting those young folks, because I feel like they're the heart of the revolution, right, and I feel like everything is targeted at them because they know they're the heart of the revolution, and giving them the tools they need. And when I say when folks come through, I don't want to be the guy to say, come to this event and get the resource. Come to this event and get the resource you might need. When you leave my event, when you leave a Black Voters Matter event, I want you to become a walking resource, right? Yeah. So we're gearing up these guys to become resources in their own community. I think about an organization, one of our partners organizations in Philadelphia called Trust Factor. They got a Build a Man program where they would teach the youth how to do carpentry, teach the youth how to sheetrock and do roofing. But they also just added Black males, bringing the fathers in, because we know these federal and state dollars is not coming in to fix grandma's house. Some of the things we want to learn and do ourselves, absolutely, and play that front line. So, like I said, it's big on creating that space, and I think we don't talk about how difficult it is to even create that safe haven for Black men to talk, yet alone get into some action.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm a big advocate for the trades right now, and seeing a lot of young people kind of go towards that and creating not a safety net, but just a foundation for themselves right off the rip before they mess up their record, before they go and, whatever come with like being aimless as 17, 18, 19-year-old, like, because I was that before. And I didn't know which way I wanted to go. And they got somewhere for you to go when you don't know what you want to do. So I think speaking to that, like just having spaces for Black men to speak to each other without like this arrogance of intelligence, right? Like we see this a lot on the internet. Like there's the arrogance that come with being smart. Like, you wrong about that. We finna dunk on you. We finna bam. Instead of correcting you or instead of like giving you the facts, now it becomes a thing of like, what are we even arguing about anymore? We arguing about our egos now because you don't want to be wrong. I think we have to allow people to be wrong. I think that this country has done an extreme disservice to us through education and always it being about propaganda and American exceptionalism and things like that just make it feel like I'm in America, I'm good. You know what I mean? I think if we create spaces where, like you said, we can talk, we can air our grievances out, voices that feel unheard can be heard, especially voices of Black men, especially Black men who feel like they may not be contributing to society because they're felons or because they don't have a lot of money or anything like that. I think starting there by empowering them, and then also like the importance of voting, the importance of community organizing, the importance of like being able to say, they not gonna give us no federal funding. We're gonna go rebuild grandma's house ourselves because we got the skills. And now if we can get with somebody through mutual aid to give us the resources to get the materials needed, we can do that each house by each house, right? Raise our property value. Like one thing that I've been discussing about in Douglasville is like why we only pick up the trash when it's state mandated. Like why the court got to tell us we got to go pick up trash as a punishment. When you make cleaning up your neighborhood a punishment, then the only time people gonna do it is when they in trouble.
Right.
And so it's like keeping our neighborhoods beautiful, keeping our mindsets like sharp and educated on things that's really gonna impact and affect us, like knowing your rights. But also too, to your point, is like we need spaces where we can speak to each other freely off the internet. I think we exchange a lot of ideas over the internet. I think we exchange a lot of grievances with each other over the internet. And the thing that I've been the most proud of is just being able to like see communities like that being built online and taking it offline. And then people being more serious about taking their expression and their narratives on into their own hands. And like, I'm gonna dictate my narrative. I'm not gonna let you tell me who I am. I'm not gonna let you tell me who my brother is. And so, you know, one of the things that we've been doing a lot lately is like galvanizing our community to, okay, there's mutual aid being done over here, or there's resources that's needed over here. How can we raise money? Who's the 501c or nonprofit over here that's doing a book bag drive? Let's take care of our babies, because that's the most important thing. I think oftentimes we leave our children behind because we so focused on what's going to be best and most comfortable for us, because we feel like, hey, if I get comfortable, my kids will be comfortable. But if we make the kids like the focal point, that's us like really preparing ourselves for our future, and that'll keep us on point too. Yeah,
I probably should have done this because we're about to wrap up, and I probably should have done this at the beginning. But tell us a little bit about Grits and Eggs and like how you even came about getting into doing the podcast.
Truck driving. I was living with my grandmother. I got in a bad car accident. And my grandmother was like, you still trying to go to work? Like, you need to just come here, rest. You come bring your family and figure out what you want to do, where you ain't got to, like, be on the clock all the time. You can get you a trade. And she was like, I got resources out here. And I was like, okay, well, the easiest program to get into and oftentimes the most lucrative is truck driving, but it's very demanding. But I felt like I just needed something, you know what I mean? I didn't know how to rest. So even with the injury, I'm still trying to work. I'm still trying to, you know what I mean? And it's my back. So it's like,
tell me about it.
You feel me? And so she was like, she was like, it's okay. Like, you could take 3 months. I don't want no rent. You're my grandson. Like, I'm cool. I just want you to get right. And the first year was just learning what it was and like adapting to being away from my family and stuff like that. But I think after a while, it was like, I was looking, it's mid-COVID, so I'm looking, there's a lot of like talk going on social media. There's a lot of people exchanging ideas. But I felt like from when it came to like political issues or our community issues, there was no like real direct answers being made. Everybody was kind of like playing it safe. You know, they don't want to upset nobody. They don't want to get canceled. They don't want to do this. And I was like, shit, I'm good. I got money, man. I got me a trade. I'm straight. You know what I mean? I'm going to go shake the room up real quick, because I didn't feel like anybody was being honest. I didn't feel like people was being honest about their politics. I don't feel like anybody wanted to really talk about what was going on in our neighborhoods. So like, I was one of the things, like, nobody want to admit that they ain't got enough money. That was one of my very first things, is like, you told me to take this route. Every time we win, every time we do what y'all told us to do, y'all move the goalposts.
That's right.
And it's like, the first thing I ever went viral for is like, you want me to wake up thinking about money? I don't wake up every day thinking about money. I'm waking up thinking, am I good? Is my kids good? Is my girl good? Like, is Granny straight? You know what I'm saying? Like, what we gonna eat today? First thing I ain't thinking about is no dollar. But you want me to have like 7 side hustles and multiple streams of income and everybody gonna be a CEO? I just felt like hustle culture was bullshit. So calling that out actually like got a lot of people like, yeah, bro, like, shit, I just want to work and pay my bills and be able to rest. You know what I mean? And I don't want to live at my job, but I also don't want to like create another job out of my hobby just because like y'all not paying people enough, but y'all steadily raising the price of rent. Y'all, all the bills, the groceries is getting higher and all these things. And from there, I just was like, shit, I got more opinions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got a lot more to say.
Right.
And the grits and eggs thing came from like a year of me just like being on TikTok to where people was just like, bro, please just start a podcast. Because like 2-3 minute clips, that ain't it. Like we need you to get into the long form media. I started in my truck with a mic and an iPad. And I did that for like 11 episodes. Then we moved from Alabama with my granny back out here to Douglasville, and I just built the studio out in the crib. And I've been on it ever since. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the grits and eggs thing is just about autonomy. Like when when I felt like I was making my own decisions, I was like 11, 12. Because my people had split up, and my dad was like, shit, I don't do too much cooking, but here's how to make spaghetti. Here's how to make grits and eggs. You know what I mean? These two things, if I ain't here, if there ain't no leftovers, this gonna sustain you. And so that just came from like, that was my independence. You know what I mean? That was me taking care of my sisters too. It's like, shit, we eating grits and eggs for dinner. It is what it is.
Right.
We got some bacon. We ain't got no bacon. We got some hot dogs.
Right.
We're gonna split them joints in half. But this is like autonomy for me. This is when I really started expressing myself. And like, this is when I started getting in a lot of trouble for my mouth. Like, because I'm at school and I'm like, y'all telling us everybody failed the test. Is that our problem or y'all? Is that a teaching problem or a student problem? And it's like, yeah, get out. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of my friends from back home always would say like, man, this man always been outspoken like this. He always was the hippest when it came to music. He always was the one that was going to say what everybody was thinking. And so like I carried it over and I feel like I know where that started. And I know what I was eating. I know it was sustaining me at that time, but I feel like grits and eggs is also a thing of like, sustenance, like substance and sustenance, like it's gonna sustain you. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a little fun, but I'm gonna put something on your mind too.
That's what's up. Khalil, how'd you get in this? What brought you to Black Voters Matter? Like
a lot of things brought me to Black Voters Matter. My mom was a war leader growing up, so I was one of those kids at 18 years old, get up, go to the polls, work the polls. But that really didn't give me the urge to feel like voting was for me, like we talked about offline. Voting for me is when I noticed the power that voting could do. Like when I seen people create voter gaps and put people in office and see some of the changes firsthand, it got me to this work. I tell folks when I talk to men, like when I talk to Black men, I was in the library, I left the library and I had this hoodie on. And the librarian said, "You believe that?" Black librarian. He said, "You believe that?" So I told him who I was and he said, "I don't believe voting is anything. They're going to steal everything." So I asked him, "What you going to do about it?" Like, I mean, what would you do if somebody took something? You give up? If another Black person took something from you, the last thing you would do is give up.
Oh, yeah, you dedicate your life
so,
to
you know what I mean? So
if I took his iPhone, I know he come running after
exactly,
me, right?
exactly. And I tell Black men all the time, only thing stronger than 10,000 Black men is 10,000 Black voters. Because I seen it. I seen the changes it could do in the community. I've seen how elected officials, they might not know who you voted for, but they can see if you voted. So when you do make these phone calls and talk to elected officials about issues that's impacting you, whether it's a power on the block, first thing they're going to look up and see if you voted. And if you didn't vote, they're not going to handle your issue. That's just how the game goes. And I'm from Philadelphia. We're lucky to have a Black city council, a Black mayor, but you know, every district has a white part and a Black part. And we got elected officials that come from these Black communities and get into office, and then the Black community, the Black side of the district get mad at them because they're not doing enough. But I always have to remind those folks in those Black side of the districts that y'all guys is not the ones that's keeping them in office. Y'all want to build some leverage, help him get in office. Y'all not voting. Not saying he don't want to do as much as he can do for you guys, but the other side of the tracks is keeping him in office. So he has to care over there. We have to understand that. We have to understand the only way to hold elected officials accountable is by taking jobs. You get what I'm saying? Anything else most likely is going to harm ourselves. So, I mean, when I seen the power and noticed the power was in the people, it just pushed me to take this somewhere else. And especially when I run into Black men who was in the same boat I was 10, 15, 20 years ago when I didn't believe voting. I looked at it as I love it. You know what I mean? It's the conversation. You look like me, I look like you. We got some of the same issues impacting. I'm going to tell you what voting has done for me. And if I'm going to throw a personal story in there, I'll always do that. But I mean, I just love to see people be reminded that the power is in the people. So it brought me here.
That's right. Power's in the people. That's a good place to end it. But you know, I've enjoyed talking to you brothers, and this is just hopefully the start of a conversation. I know we could be talking a lot more, and I'm hoping we will be talking a lot more.
I'm right up the street. Man.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
All right. Thank y'all for joining us. Again, this has been another edition of the Black Voters Matter podcast, Unnamed and Unbound. Catch us on the next one. Catch us on our social media, Black Voters MTR, and catch us in the streets because we'll be there because we got power and we fight back.